My name is Luis Corso. I'm a New York based photographer, originally from Guatemala. Pasaco 1996 is an investigative photography project that revisits a month long abduction that my father and I lived through in 1996 in Guatemala City. 7 men forcefully entered our home through the garage as we were getting ready to go to school. While holding automatic rifles, they proceeded with their plan of abducting my father and I with the sole purpose of holding us in exchange for ransom. I first started working on it when I was studying in Barcelona. This project was going to be kind of my thesis project, but it was more about my traumas, and that just destroyed me, like, emotionally. So I did another thesis project, and then years later, I really don't know how I started. It's possible it was late at night in a rabbit hole, I was Googling myself and Googling the story, and there's still articles from a long time ago that are online. And I guess I just started doing that investigation. The research probably started 2017, 2018, with a new goal, which was to speak about broader issues and the corruption in Guatemala and criminal rehabilitation and all this. I went to a lot of very significant places, including like the house where I was kept for a week and a half and stuff like this. And nothing really triggered me emotionally. My traumas, I think, are dealt with, and I think I have fully moved on forward from years ago. So, one of my main problems that I've had was to kind of remove myself from the story as much as I could. And if you look at the project, it looks like a police report. I wanted the viewers to focus on the bigger issue. Initially, most of my family was a bit against me doing this project just because they didn't understand why I was opening and back up these old wounds. And they thought also it was putting myself and their lives in danger. But fortunately, as they started understanding my end goal, they began being super supportive and sharing ideas and contacts. And I spent a lot of time with my uncles and my aunts and my grandparents, my parents, to help me kind of put all these puzzle pieces together. And without them, this project wouldn't exist. Elisario Santos was a longtime family friend and employee of my family's business. He was the one who volunteered to make the first and third deliveries of the ransom payment. The first ransom delivery was about 2 weeks into the abduction. He was instructed by the abductors to bring a large backpack full of cash and drive a small motorcycle down to Lago Matitlan, about 40 minutes south of Guatemala City, at around 2 a.m. At the midpoint of the trajectory, he was intercepted by the abductors. He was forcefully stopped in the middle of the highway, brought down, and brutally beaten. The abductors took the backpack and fled. This portrait was taken at the precise location where he was stopped on that rainy morning. The morning after the first delivery, Los Pasaco insisted that they never received the money and demanded my grandfather to come up with the ransom again. My family gathered more money, and another family friend volunteered to make the second delivery. Not yet satisfied with the payments received, the abductors released my father and forced him to gather the last ransom payment to grant my freedom. As I was creating this project, I thought it was very important to document some of the locations where the proofs of life were left, to illustrate that Guatemala has traces of violence where you least expect them. This building was once a busy Pollo Campero fast food restaurant. It was also where the abductors left my father's amputated left ring finger inside of a plastic canister behind one of the toilets in the men's bathroom. The leader of the group responsible for the abduction was a man named Jose Luis Barahona Castillo. In March 2019, I received a tip that his brother Walter was incarcerated in the prison known as the Little Hell. A few days later, I bribed my way into the prison, and as soon as I walked in, I was stunned to find out that Walter was no longer there. But in fact, the leader himself, the one that I was looking for, Jose Luis Barahona Castillo, was in there. He owned a small shop selling snacks and sodas and stuff like this. He sat me down in that little table. He's like, sit down. Here, have a Coke. I was extremely nervous, extremely scared. I was convinced that I was gonna die. And the other part of mine was saying, this is what you've been wanting. Meeting one of these guys and sitting down with them, so just go with it. And in front of him, I'm like, okay, my name is Luis Corso. I believe you kidnapped my father and I. And he immediately knew who I was. How's your dad? How you guys been? You know, like if we were old friends. Unfortunately, also, I wasn't able to bring any photography equipment. So I thought I need to have some sort of proof that I was here and that I met you. And so I just quickly thought, hey, do you have a piece of paper and a pen? And he said, yeah, of course. He wrote down the day's date. He wrote his name. He signed it. And he wrote, from Pasaco Jutiapa, which was a cherry on top for me, you know? So he walked me out and I grabbed the Coca-Cola and I like, by the way, I'm not paying for this. And we walked out. We gave each other a big hug. And he told me, if you're ever around in the area, come and visit me, you know? And I was like, yeah, I'll keep that in mind.